Joining us right now, as she does every Tuesday this time, Devan Kaney. Devan, what's up?
Dev.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Oh, it's awesome.
It's good. I mean, we got a lot going on.
Excited to be here in person.
Yes, this happens like once every 2 months.
Yeah. Once in a while, I decide to grace you guys with my presence in person.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to have you, and a lot to talk about. A week away from the NFL trade deadline, so let's just let's talk about the elephant in the room, the A.J. Brown situation. So, for you, would he even be on the table? Because that's what we're discussing today. Like, is this even something? If you're Howie and Jeff, would you listen, or is it like, no, we're trying to win the Super Bowl. I'm not even listening to offers.
I would not even listen if I was them. I understand that, like, the social media stuff and the antics, and it's not ideal, and I'm sure it's probably annoying for those within the organization as well. It's just kind of gotten to a point where it's like, come on, dude, like let's figure this out. I think he really is injured. I think he is dealing with a hamstring. I think if they had to technically go, like they really needed him on Sunday, perhaps he could have. He's been at practice but not practicing. I don't think that there's too much to read into in terms of that, in terms of him not playing. I just think, like, I know that Elliott reported and people have been saying, they could rework the contract to negate the cap hit. At what point do we draw the line and say this just isn't worth it? Like, why are we making it so difficult to try to offload a player who's integral to our success and is one of the best wide receivers in the league? Like, it's just not worth it to me. And I think they need to try their best to work things out.
So I don't think the Eagles would want to trade him, right? They just gave him a new contract, the one you're referencing, just before last year's draft or 2 drafts ago, right? So I don't think the question really, this whole thing is, does he want to be here? Is he happy? Because the one thing that caught this past week kind of made my eyes open to 2 things. One, he put that Instagram thing up after his best game of the season, right? Like, so I'm starting to wonder, is he ever going to be happy, right? You would think 4 catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Vikings.
That made me pretty happy.
Right. That would make most receivers happy. It did make him happy. Obviously, he said something about it. Yeah. And then, Devin, the way they played on Sunday, I do wonder, was that a coincidence, the way they played against the Giants?
They played very well on Sunday.
Their best offensive game of the year.
Yeah, and it did. I was listening to your show yesterday, and I agreed with something you said, Joe, where the offense just felt, I forget the word you used, but seamless, like effortless. Like nothing felt like it was forced.
Well, that was the word you used, but that wasn't a real word.
I heard you drop that word, and I was like, wow, that was
not a word.
Good pull.
It's a good word.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a thing. But
what is it supposed to mean?
Together, like synced up, syncopathy.
Syncopathy?
Yeah.
It's not it.
Yeah.
I mean,
how about like synchronized?
No, I like syncopathy better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, the offense felt very effortless.
In concert.
Effortlessly,
concert.
In sync on Sunday.
No, I totally agree.
It could be a coincidence. It also could be that, they're facing a Giants defense. I know their defensive front is really good, but they have some banged up guys in the secondary, so I'm sure that, that helped the Eagles' offensive situation. And Jalen Hurts is playing really good football right now. The O-line, I think, played their best game of the season, especially with Cam Jurgens being out in that one. I think Fred Johnson coming in, he's like the unsung hero of this Eagles offense. When he comes in, they're extremely productive, especially in the run game. So, I think there's a lot of different factors, and I just don't think it's fair for us to say, oh, it's because A.J. Brown wasn't playing.
All right, but before and I know this could take us off track for a second, we'll get back to the conversation. But Hugh, I think the word is a word. So how
do you spell it?
Well, so syncopathy or syncopathy is not. So I looked it up. So the AI's the AI overview is telling me it's not a standard medical term. The correct term is syncope, which means fainting or a temporary loss of consciousness due to a sudden drop in blood flow to the brain.
Oh, wow.
Now, that might be what people feel like when they're listening to us have these A.J. Brown conversations, but it is something real. It has nothing to do with the Eagles offense.
And you know what's funny? I'm pretty sure some doctors out there that would listen to the show like, what the hell is he talking about?
Like, this is real. This guy is totally off.
What the hell is wrong with
this whole
him?
time you've been talking about, fainting.
Dizziness, nausea, fainting. Yes, exactly.
That's
all right,
crazy.
Blurred vision is part of it, which some people may say we have as we talk through this. All right, Devin, with the trade deadline, so the one part of it's going to be the A.J. rumors. They're going to be there until it passes.
I think they'll be there until the offseason.
I agree.
Let's be real. But obviously it's going to ratchet up now, going into the deadline.
The other part, though, is what Howie actually might be wanting to do, right? Like in terms of adding. So I feel like the last few weeks it's been edge or corner? Edge or corner? Like, what is the biggest need? I don't know how much it moved your opinion on this, but watching the way J.L.X. Hunt played on Sunday, the fact that Nolan Smith is probably about to come back, signing Brandon Graham, I'm all in on getting a corner. I think they might have enough up front. If I'm Howie, I would trade for a corner over anything. Where are you at on what they should add?
I would be happy with either an edge or a corner. I think right now probably the biggest need, like you just mentioned, with guys like J.L.X. Hunt stepping up, with Nolan Smith expected to come back. Brandon Graham will start, getting more action once the bye week is over. That second outside corner spot is still an area that's targeted by opposing offenses constantly, because they know that whether it's a Dory Jackson or Keely Ringo, that's going to be the spot to exploit on this Eagles defense. I will say, Jacorian Bennett, he wasn't active on Sunday, but he should be back after the bye. And I know that Vic Fangio had some praise. I don't want to say high praise, because I don't think Vic Fangio is high praise for anyone. But it seemed like Jacorian Bennett's future, at least this season, in that outside cornerback spot could be bright. But I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in an outside corner if they're able to get someone who can make an impact immediately.
Yeah, that's where I would go with it. We'll see how he goes by next Tuesday. So after you watched it, being on the sidelines and kind of thinking about it for a day, are they fully back to you? Because that was the first time I felt watching them. It looked like last year. It was the first time I felt like, oh, they look dominant. Because all the first handful of games and then into October, they were winning most, but it never looked like dominant. The Sunday, and I know it was a bad team, but it's the same bad team they lost to 2 weeks ago. Are they fully back in your eyes?
I'm going to say no, but it was a promising win. I'm going to say no because they have a really tough schedule coming up once they come back from the bye, right? They have the Packers, they have the Lions, they have to go down to Dallas. So, I mean, they have tough games coming up. I need to see how they perform. I need to, learn more about where Cam Jurgens is at. So I don't know if I'm willing to say they're totally back just due to the injuries. Like, they had 6 guys out on Sunday against the Giants. And to me, you can't really say they're fully back when you're missing that many guys. And I want to see what they look like when Nolan Smith is back. I want to see what they look like with Brandon Graham activated. I want to see a fully healthy O-line, if that's even possible. I'm not sure it is this season. So I guess just in terms of health, I'm not ready to say that. But in terms of performance, yeah, I mean, that was hands down the best performance of the season so far.
It was awesome. I mean, Hugh, Sunday against the Giants was everything we thought they were going to be when the season started. We just didn't see it for 7 weeks.
Yeah, synchronicity.
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. I think
there
that
you
one
go.
works. I think that one works.
So you just sat there for the last 2 minutes
thinking of a new word to throw in there, to just insert that word in there. But no, it was something, and that's what made it interesting. And it might have been the fact that AJ wasn't out there, that your sense of looking at the team was a little heightened, and you probably was a little bit hyperbolic. But it looked fluid. That was the thing. It just looked fluid. He looked comfortable. There was a lot of times where it felt like, before this game, that it was just slow. It looked disjointed. Yep. And there were a lot of miscues, or a lot of times we talked about him holding on to the ball a whole lot. Didn't look like that this weekend. And that might have been the way that the Giants were playing. That might have been the fact that on the second play from scrimmage, Saquon Barkley took it to the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there are so many factors that play into this. And that's why when we ask these questions, it's not like you're trying to run anybody out of town. It's trying to get people to think, because we need a pass rusher. We need some defensive help. And I don't think it's out of bounds to ask the question, if you feel comfortable doing it, would you do it? That's it. It's not like nobody's mad at AJ. It's just that we have a need to put pressure on the quarterback. Even though we had a good game that game, we saw a young quarterback that played in his 5th NFL game.
They do seem to let quarterbacks, especially those who can scramble, slip away.
Yes.
A lot.
And that's why when we have these conversations, it's not like you're trying to run anybody out of town, but you have to think about it in a way that the Eagles might think about it. You played, like I said, played against a quarterback, played in his 5th game. He struggled a little bit. Okay, you're playing against a quarterback when you come back from the bye who's been around the block 5-1-1 on the season.
The Packers are,
They have that tie.
And they have you have history. You're familiar with the squad, and they got somebody over there that can get after the quarterback. So it's going to be a little different. So that's when you have to think outside the box. Say, okay, what do we need? We probably need to put some pressure on that quarterback. So hopefully Brandon's going to be out there. Nolan Smith Is he potentially coming back for that game?
I think he's eligible, right?
Yeah,
Devin?
he's potentially coming back.
When he first was put on IR, I think they had the game after the bye, week 10, circled for him.
So I think it's logical to ask yourself, going into that game after the bye, do you feel like you have enough pass rush to get after Jordan Love with the guys that you have coming back and the progressions that you had Jahad Campbell make, Jaylus Hunt make? Do you feel like that's a position that looks like it's on the uptick?
It looks like it's on the uptick. I would never say no at this point in the season to adding more in that spot. Like, they still aren't getting to the quarterback as much as I think a lot of us would like them to. I'll also say I feel like Jalen Carter has been getting better and better each week.
First sack of the year on Sunday.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, he wasn't holding his shoulder like we've seen him do in weeks past. Like, I feel like he's getting healthier, and sitting out that Thursday night game was really helpful for him getting like fully back with his heel and his shoulder. So that we know how important he is to this defense, right? So I think that's massive. We talk about the guys getting healthy. That being said, like, I'm never going to say no to adding more on that defensive front. I just don't know if it necessarily has to mean like costing us A.J. Brown.
Yeah, they're two separate things that are almost intertwined at the same time.
Yeah.
Because look, if AJ wants to be here and he's on board, I don't think they want to trade him. I think they want to win the Super Bowl again, and he helped them last year. If he doesn't, though, I think they're going to listen to offers the next week.